Hello, and welcome to the W.A.I.T channel. What Am I Thinking? A podcast where two sisters share uplifting conversations on fun and sometimes serious topics.
Join us each week by clicking the notification bell and subscribing to our channel. If you enjoy the show, use the share link. It's one of the best ways to expand the conversation.
Welcome to What Am I Thinking? The W.A.I.T channel. Well, today we are leaving the world of reality TV and just talking straight real world reality. So we're going to dip our toe into a little of the political landscape when it comes to our Supreme Court and some recent rulings. Well, one in particular. So the Supreme Court had two cases before it related to determine whether race-conscious admissions policies could be used by universities. And the thing was, everyone was concerned about the court striking down using affirmative action, also known as race-conscious admissions policies, and it would make it unconstitutional for universities across the country to consider a student's race as one factor in a holistic admissions review process. And as we know, they did determine that that was unconstitutional. And it really kind of got me, I didn't think I would be riled up, but then I started thinking about the admissions process as a whole, and there's so many other areas and ways where the deck is stacked against others to help them get into college, as opposed to the one factor of race, which no one has a choice in, no one can do anything about it. You got what you got, and you gotta live it out. So when it comes to things like legacy students, and those who also get in through donations and things of that nature, and we got a little hint of some of the things that those with money would do with that college admission scandal that got, Lori Loughlin and others sent to prison. So we know that parents want to give their child the best opportunity. And with our history as a nation, people of color had to create their own institutions, historically Black colleges, to even begin to educate themselves on the collegiate level. So for me, something that I thought I was not going to fully, dial in on has really got me saying, wait a minute now. So what other changes are college admission boards going to make so that this one decision, it makes it even more lopsided to me? What do you think, Lori?
I'm just flabbergasted, quite frankly, that in this day and age, and in the country that we live in the landscape of supposed equality, we can sit in our suburban homes and have our conversations and pat ourselves on the back and say there's diversity, when the reality is we live in a deeply divided country where things are not equal. And I know I read some of the brief from Justice Thomas and could help me with her name, Tracy. Yeah. Yes, I read some of her brief as well. My understanding, I think Justice Thomas's, his was 51 or 57 pages long, and hers was half that. And they kind of had this battle of words. Her saying that we do not live in a diverse country yet. Him saying, we do, and that color should no longer be a part of the selection process. I'm sitting here and I'm looking at Wallet Hub, where they have all 50 states listed in terms of quality of education. And it always strikes me as odd that Republican states, they fare the worst when it comes to education, healthcare, jobs, a standard of living. And the worst states, 10 worst states in terms of education, which, by the way, also have the largest black populations, are Texas, New Mexico, Kentucky, Nevada, Oklahoma, Alabama, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, West Virginia. So based on this new ruling, unless in your essay you can eloquently explain and express your life, your situation, your economic background, and how you think these things need to be a factor of why you should be allowed to attend these colleges of higher learning. If that's the only way, a piece of paper, because am I right or am I wrong? Isn't that what they said, that you can bring it up, but it has to be in your essay?
I don't know the particulars of that aspect, but the thing is that it's still, even able to address it through the essay, that they really are still able to discount it. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't hold the same weight as if you were saying, because the affirmative action was basically kind of them saying, we're going to make sure we admit so many students of color.
It gave you, when they were tallying their points and determining admissions, it gave them that added put right to the same one with your legacy students. It gave them that fighting edge to get their foot in that door.
Right. And it's just one of those things that, why does this still have to be an issue? Because, we still have, when you look at proportions of society, the greater proportion of people of color are still way outnumbered those the ones who are incarcerated. So it's not like we're taking over universities and higher learning institutions, by no means.
But Tracy, I really think the greater argument is, you and I both know that, okay, so once you are admitted, you don't take an affirmative action exam. You take the same exam as everyone else in that classroom. So you're right. You're either going to make it or you're not. But at the very least, give that person the opportunity. And that is what affirmative action, it did. It gave them that opportunity. And same with your legacy students, that was their opportunity. They were either going to make it or they weren't going to make it. Right. But for them, it's like this pundit on CNN, she said it really well. She said that oftentimes you have this segment of the population, they are born into this family where it's like they already have the savings account and they don't even have to live off the savings. They're living off the compound interest. And those are the things that are given to them simply because of their birth, the family they were born in. Well, the rest of the population, they don't have that. Right. So that's what affirmative action fixed. If your granddad and your great granddad, they went to Harvard, and because of that and what they sold it to the college, if you benefit from that, I say fine. But for the person that lives in, let's say, West Virginia, who came from a very impoverished background, but they have talents, they have the same right to go to that school if their grade point average is what it's supposed to be, but the only thing they don't have is that savings account with that compound interest.
Yeah.
We
Pedigree does factor in, unfortunately. And the family history, and there's so many of these children who have benefited from affirmative action who were the first to don the door of any four-year institution, let alone some type of Ivy League institution. And, you know, as you said, the same thing that they say with, you know, the children of those who are famous, even if the door is open for you and you get the opportunity to walk through that door, what you do once you're in the door, it's on you. And so it's not like these are free handouts. These individuals have worked hard. They have, you know, earned their way to be there through hard work. And to think that they may not be able to get that same opportunity just because there are a few other boxes they can't check off. It's kind of sad. It's kind of sad. And let's not even talk about the financial cost and them having maybe a scholarship and having to maintain that scholarship. And that's work. That's work. They would have earned every aspect of it. So it's not like you're giving them something that they're not earning. So, you know, why don't we have blind admissions across the board? No legacy, no nothing. Let's just give everybody a number. And you don't see names. You don't, because we know if they don't have to necessarily mention color in their essay, depending on what their name is, you already know this is possibly a person of color.
Right.
So, you know, it's some aspects of it where you're saying that you're taking it out and you're not going to use it as something that's going to be a benefit, but will it then be a liability that will hurt them on the other side of that?
You know, as you're talking, I'm reminded of the movie The Help, and how one of the maids, her son, had the opportunity to go to, and I think it was an Ivy League school, and or it was one of the universities that normally the white people went to. And I remember the husband being kind of upset about that because he felt, why can't they go to their colleges? Removing affirmative action, it takes us back to those days where unless you are of a certain class, unless you are of a certain color or race, you are forced to go to or seek other educational opportunities because you just don't fall in the right zip code, or your K through 12 experience, it did have some disadvantages and it doesn't bring you up to the same level as those who do have advantages. We're going backwards in a very bad way. I'm hopeful that the universities will understand the importance of diversity, not only within students, but we see it within employment with their staff, and how many universities, if they have students that graduate with their master's or their doctorate, they don't like hiring within, they like hiring from the outside because they want diversity. They want new ideas to come in to help better programs. So we not only see it in the employees and the instructors, but they also want that from the students. I learned a great deal from being around other people of other races when I was in school.
For sure. And something else now, the historically black colleges, the thing is if people are really not happy with this, then maybe they need to double down on their donations to those historically black colleges so that individuals who are not faring well with the other institutions, that they can expand their programs and they can ramp up their admissions. And, there are some great historically black colleges that people vie to get into. And whether it's Howard University, Hampton University, Morehouse, Spelman, whomever, all of these schools offer great educations. And we're not saying that, we want our individuals to have an opportunity wherever they choose to go, whether it's a historically black college or an Ivy League school or a state-funded school. We want them to have the opportunity and a fair shot at it, just like everybody else. And I kind of think they need to look at getting rid of the legacies. They're probably not going to do it because of donors and donations and endowments and things of that nature. But if we're thinking that is an unfair advantage using affirmative action, then we've got to look at all the advantages and take them away from everyone, not just the people of color.
I want to read a quote from Christopher Ream. He's the CEO and founder of Command Education. And he wrote, and I quote, "You want a diverse opinion. You want people who have different experiences than you. I think that's good, or I think that's going to be lost." So he's saying that college is that opportunity for students to encounter opposing viewpoints and to hear from people who are different from them. I like the idea that in our historically black colleges and universities, that let's say even they have students of different races. We don't want this just this a society or education system.
We don't want a monolithic we want the diversity.
We want the diversity.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we learn from each other. But I'm wondering what has happened in Congress, because the thing you said about having those opposing opinions, they don't understand that we can think differently and work towards some sort of compromise, and that it's not this one way thing. When I think of some of the aspects of politics, it's like, you guys maybe need to go back to your university, that environment, and know that great debates and rich thoughts are part of it, and quit trying to, indoctrinate someone to just your one way of thinking. I think that has gotten lost. And now that you've read that, it makes me concerned that it's going to get lost even more on another generation.
It's funny, though. I remember when I was in high school, and it was a parochial high school, and so we would play in our other schools and in sports in that class system where most of the schools, they were private schools. And this one particular private school I remember we went to, it was a game, and these were like really, really wealthy kids. And the memory sticks out to me because when our bus pulled up and the basketball players, they got off, we had arrived early. We were walking to the gym and we ran across some of the students who were actually living on the high school's campus. And we went to their dorm room. We weren't supposed to go to their dorm rooms, but we did. And for about 20 minutes, we exchanged information about our schools and what we did in our schools. And the memory sticks out because in my mind, I thought, wow, how lucky they were. But that's how they felt about us. They felt that we were lucky in the way we were being educated. And another statement, it says here, there are too many students who are similar or have very similar academic and extracurricular activities. So there's no way to really say what the right decision is. If you're being around all people who think the same way, who learn the same way. Where's the diversity?
And
I'm sorry.
Where's the opportunity for growth?
Yes.
Yeah, you lose out on that. So it's just the sad that those on the highest court, it makes me sad. These are supposed to be our top legal minds, and this is what they have decided is unconstitutional. It's sad.
But we can go on this topic to infinity and beyond, as a Toy Story character would say. But what we have to hope is that our colleges and universities do not go backward, that they figure out a way to move forward so that our places of higher learning, hopefully they are those foundational places where our leaders, our thinkers are going to come from, and that they realize this, and that they not abandon all of the things that were in place to ensure that diversity was something that is available to students, to the universities, to the colleges in their process of admissions. So let us know what you're thinking. Leave your comments in the comments section. We can keep this conversation going. Be kind to each other. And we look forward to talking to you again here at the W.A.I.T channel. What am I thinking? Thank you.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely ours and should be taken as such. Our thoughts are intended purely for entertainment purposes. Please do not take anything we say as fact or advice. Thank you for listening.